Taking heat over its involvement in some statewide election races. This comes after a top White House official reached out to former Colorado House Speaker Andrew Romanoff last fall. The White House wanted to see if Romanoff would be interested in taking a job in the administration rather than challenging a sitting senator in the Democratic primary, Senator Michael Bennet. The White House is defending the move. It's all happening right after the administration says it solicited former President Bill Clinton to see whether Joe Sestak would drop his Senate bid in the state of Pennsylvania. A lot of people have been critical of the White House on these moves. As you might expect, much of the criticism comes from the Republican side of the aisle. The chairman of the Republican National Committee, Michael Steele, is among those critics. He joins us now. Michael, a lot of people are saying that this is just business as usual. Your response?
Well, it probably is up to a point. There's no doubt that there's always sort of the political pressure that a party, or in this case, the White House and the president, can put on a candidate or would like to put on a candidate to get in or get out of a race. What's important here, and not to lose sight of, is that there's also a federal statute that guides those actions. So you can say to someone, for example, gee, you know, the White House, the president would very much not like you to run in this and create a primary. We'd like to give so-and-so a free shot. End of story. That's okay. But then when you go the next step and say, and if you do, or if you don't do whatever it is we prescribe, we will give you A, B, C, and D. And so when you put that offer on the table, when you make it a quid pro quo, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's something this White House has failed to address adequately enough to make this thing go away. Yes, it has political connotations all around it, but now you've also upped the ante, if you will, by those who've been asked to get out of a race in exchange for a job, saying that's exactly what's happened.
I mentioned that a lot of the criticism has come from the Republican side, but here's a quote from someone who served as the ethics advisor in George W. Bush's White House, who says in USA Today that nothing they are doing is illegal or improper under current law. That's Richard Painter, who was the White House ethics advisor. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't know what Richard Painter knows that we don't know. Clearly, there are those inside the Democrat Party and around the country who think that at least the White House has to state categorically or uncategorically what it is it did and what it is it didn't do. So I don't know what Mr. Painter knows about this that the rest of us, that the media in fact doesn't know, who have asked since for the last 3 or 4 weeks exactly what transpired here. The White House has always referred back to its earlier statements in March, which said absolutely nothing. And yet you still have Romanoff and Sestak saying, I was offered something. And the federal statute is very clear. You cannot offer something paid or unpaid, because both of those have value to the individual. And you cannot offer something of value in exchange for, their political behavior, in this case, getting out of the race. The other question, in the case of Romanoff, if there's no big deal here, why did you redact the address on the email that you put out that would indicate where it came from? Did it come from the White House, or did it come from a political shop inside the DNC?
You think
so? These things raise more questions, and the White House is not effectively answering the questions that are being asked.
All right. That Richard Painter quote in USA Today, he's a law professor now. He says, under the law as written, there wasn't a violation the way he sees it. He said he personally would not like to see this kind of thing going on, but he says neither party has the motivation to change it, because they basically figure, Republicans, he says, basically figure that they're going to be in the White House soon enough, and patronage jobs are going to be there. He says you really don't want to change the rules because your guys are going to be there in a few years. Your response, Michael?
Well, but look at it again. I go back to my first statement, John. There is always that political finagling, and to move the pieces on the chessboard. The state parties do it. The national parties do it. The White House clearly is involved in doing it. The question is here, when you get to that bright line that's right in front of you that says do not cross, do you cross it? Do you cross over and then make an offer in exchange for my getting out of the race? I will get a job, a federal appointment. I'm sure Mr. Painter would agree that that is a problem. And from by all indications, that question has not been adequately answered or addressed by the administration. That's why we still inquire. Inquiring minds want to know what happened, what was the offer, what was the exchange for that offer, what was the give and take, and why are we, when releasing documents, redacting email addresses and blocking out all of the information so that we can get a clear understanding and picture of exactly what happened.
Michael Steele, as you probably know, is chairman of the Republican National Committee. Michael, thank you. And we will hear from Democrat Andrew Romanoff, that man who wanted to run for the Senate seat in Colorado. He will be with us in just about 20 minutes.
2 veteran police officers are accused of faking records in a car crash. Is it a cover-up?